mean to, Edward. I really didn't. He was just there and I couldn't stop.
James, it's fine. There's no way this could have been your fault. It's just sometimes people take advantage of danger and inevitably end up in the disadvantage.
But Edward, I've never done something like this. I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive myself.
You should be grateful that the man was taken away with relatively minor injuries. You should be lucky that nobody was killed and that everything can continue as it did.
I know you're probably right, but it's just the thought that it's happened. And I thought my old wooden brakes were a letdown.
What's in the past is in the past for good. Some things you can prevent, but accidents happen now and again when people or trains get hurt, and evidently they did. But I bet that man is scarred more because he knows it was his choice to jump those barriers when there was a train coming. Anyways, Lord knows that if this happened in the past, say 100 years ago, it would have been a lot worse.
What do you mean?
Well, in my younger days, believe it or not, I had a similar incident.
I'm sure it can't have been as bad as this, Edward, not with all your railway experience.
You can only gain experience trying something long enough. You'll get things wrong, but eventually you will get it right. Anyways, I remember the day like it's printed in my mind. I was heading a goods train, which was to be delivered for a ferry on Lake Windermere. It was a high gale, and I was pretty eager to get the work done, so I could get out of the blistering winds. Of course, bear in mind that I was a lot younger then, and that railways were still developing from the early days. My route took me through a narrow forest cutting, and it was common to see ungated farm crossings crossing the line. It was on one of these that day that a figure came walking across the crossing just as I was nearing. I didn't have time to stop. Of course, I regret now that I didn't go so fast, but there's nothing I can do to prevent that now. I learnt my lesson, though, and that is the important bit. Since we couldn't block the line, I had to carry on all day with the stain left upon my buffer beam. It was horrible, to say the least. Nevertheless, as long as I learnt my lesson, I know I couldn't do anything more.
Edward, I had no idea that happened to you. Why didn't you tell any of us before?
Well, about 2 months later, I was sent to Sodor to help connect the Northwestern Railway. I thought it better to leave that entire incident behind and start again, and not mention it. The guilt wasn't the worst of it, though, let me tell you.
What could possibly be worse than guilt?
Accusations, James. When news got out about my accident, locals often stayed clear from me, or threw rocks at me and called me names. Again, all I could do then was regret what had happened and show my sorrow as I went about my work.
Edward, thanks for telling me that. I know it must mean quite a bit to you.
Anytime, James. Anytime.
You know, I do feel just a bit better. You're right once again. No matter what happens, it can always be better.